Hey guys, this is what Naruto had the 10 Tails part 5. In the last video, I left off in the beginning of the 1 month break from the tuning exams where Naruto met Jiraiya. I'm gonna skip to like in the end of the 1 month, but I'm gonna tell you what basically happened during that month. Naruto got his summoning, the Toad Chief. I always forgot to pronounce his name, but you know what I'm talking about, the big toad. He also learned the Rasengan because he knew the instructions on how to actually learn it, but he never actually took the time to learn it. He also gained a little bit more battle knowledge from Jiraiya. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last video, but the thing with Hinata where Neji basically almost kills her still happens, and Naruto goes in to go save her. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the last video. I forgot if I did, but if not, then that still happened, and Naruto still got mad at Neji for that. And this would if Naruto actually doesn't like Sakura, because he at this point he's smart. He knows that he doesn't really like her that much. And so yeah, and Sasuke still ended up training with Kakashi, and Naruto didn't really see Sasuke all throughout that month. He only saw him briefly, and then Sakura, she kind of just hanged around. Time she would go with Naruto to just like try to train because Naruto was teaching her some different ninjutsus and stuff like that before the tuning exam. So she went to go ask him for some help because she didn't want to bring down the team, which Naruto gladly accepted and was actually happy that Sakura was asking for help because that means she's more than likely actually taking this seriously. Because if you guys remember in this what if, Sakura and Ino didn't actually tie. Sakura actually won by a little bit because Naruto was again training her and giving her a bit more leverage against Ino. So yeah, and then this time Naruto isn't gonna be almost late. You know how in canon, he's almost late because of those. I think it was like bulls or something that were chasing him, and he was almost late basically. But in this one, he makes it actually a lot more earlier than everybody else. Of course, Naruto would be up first against Neji, and Naruto gave that kind of a little mini speech about destiny and how blah blah blah, how just basically somewhat the same thing. And so, of course, this still makes Neji mad, and Neji still hasn't really heard of Naruto that much. Like they've heard a few rumors about him, and mainly about him being actually, for the most part, they actually don't really know about Naruto. I'm pretty sure I said Lee actually knew somewhat of Naruto because he was basically tied at the top of the academy, but I'm pretty sure Neji wouldn't really pay attention to any of that, so he wouldn't really know about Naruto, any of his moves, really. He saw his fight against Kiba and thought it was decently impressive, but that's because Naruto didn't really try against Kiba because Naruto didn't think he really had to. So Naruto, when he went up against Neji, he would think to himself, I'm gonna have some fun with this. He wanted to basically tease Neji into thinking that he was about to win, but in reality, he was nowhere close. And so basically, what he would do is he would let Neji basically block out his chakra points while still trying to fight back, and then kind of going a little bit more limp in his arms. And then it's kind of like how it was in canon, where Neji was basically hitting all his chakra points and making it so no chakra can actually go through, but Naruto would basically do the exact same thing except a lot more. And now again in this what if, the ten toes isn't bad. It's a different ten toes basically. This one can actually speak to people. It isn't so harmful. Yes, it does get in trouble and like has destroyed things before, but for the most part it tries to be unharmful, and it really only does that when it's mad. And so the ten toes actually lets Naruto summon some of his power, some of his chakra. And Neji still looks at his chakra with his Byakugan because in canon Neji basically heard a growl and saw like the physique of a fox like the nine tails and got scared by that. In this one, he just sees what looks to be a horrible, scary monster, all white, and when he looks at Naruto's chakra, it's pure, just white basically, and it's overflowing at the point where it even makes the ground around him shake. And we're at the point where everybody at the stadium, they basically kind of freak out, not that much, but it's because they feel so much chakra that they don't know what to do. And the Hokage and Orochimaru, who is right next to the Hokage, he's disguised as the Kazekage, I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, even Orochimaru was scared by all the chakra that's like coming out, that's leaking out of Naruto, the amount of power that he's basically summoning towards himself. And at first, the Hokage is about to stop Naruto because he feels like Naruto wouldn't be able to hold that much chakra or that much power. But to his surprise, Naruto then opens his eyes and is full with chakra again. And this gives him a major boost. Because at this point, I feel like Naruto, he's trained enough with the Ten Tails at the point where he can use a good amount of its power. I mean, he is an Uzumaki, so he does have big chakra. He can hold a lot of chakra. Plus, the Ten Tails chakra makes a lot, and he knows his limit, so he just uses enough power at the point where it will boost him, but it won't have any setbacks on him. And eventually, Naruto, or very easily, Naruto would beat Neji. And when Neji's at the ground, Naruto says, "I was destined to be a failure. I was destined to have no friends, to be alone, to be looked at as a monster. But I had a friend with me at all times, and he helped. He helped me a lot. Two friends, actually." And then he'll look down kind of at his stomach, and Neji would kind of, like, he would basically know what Naruto was talking about because of what he saw, the chakra, all that. And Naruto would also say, and because of Sasuke, they helped me a lot. And yeah, just imagine Naruto giving a speech, because um without the Ten Tails help or Sasuke's help, Naruto would have been like how he was in canon, basically a failure until until he got Kakashi and all them. But or yeah, but because Sasuke came around to him earlier, and the Ten Tails also helped him, when he was also a little bit more older, Naruto was able to overcome that a lot more easily. And so this does change Neji a good amount. The fight that he had, like, it basically knocks sense into Neji about destiny, and plus Naruto's little mini speech to him. And of course, the winner would be declared Naruto. And remember, in this, what if Gaara actually doesn't have the One Tails or Shikaku? He technically doesn't even exist. But the Sand Ninjas still want to invade the Leaf Village and still gets Orochimaru's help to create something better. Or not better, but like something that would basically replace it. And since Gaara doesn't have his One Tails, he didn't make it to the finals. That was actually Lee. Instead, he actually ended up beating Gaara a lot more easily. If you guys remember, I'm pretty sure he had, all of a sudden he had just a lot of bloodlust and got like basically mad, and that's the main reason why he beat Neji, why he beat Lee. But Gaara isn't really like that anymore. He's a lot more nicer and stuff. And so then it goes to everybody else. It's gonna be Sakura versus someone. I just put in a random ninja. I'll say that she won. And then there's also Tamara versus Shikamaru, which technically Shikamaru won, but also lost because he said that he wanted out and stuff. So yeah, and then everything else is basically the same up until it's finally time for Sasuke and Lee to fight. And the fight begins pretty normally, and everybody's pretty amazed by their fight, because when it came to Naruto versus Neji, Naruto was too strong at the point where like they knew Naruto was gonna win, so there was no like there was excitement, because although they hated Naruto, they like saw the amount of power that he was using, which amazed everybody in the crowd. But when it came to Sasuke and Lee, they're both two top tier students that are like on even grounds. So there's more like intensity at the point, like, wait, is he gonna win? No, he might win. Because again, with Naruto, it's automatically, as soon as you saw his power, you knew Naruto was gonna win. And so some people are rooting for Sasuke, some people are rooting for Lee. And everybody just like amazed by this. And Sasuke, remember, he copied some of Lee's moves and is able to use them on his. Plus, he's trained his speed, his Chidori, all that. And so for a while, Sasuke actually had the upper ground. And at this point, Lee decided to take off his weights again, because he had them on throughout the fight, but he decided that it was also time to take them off again, because he also had Guy's permission. He asked before the fight, if things get too intense, is he allowed to take off his weights, which Guy said yes, because Sasuke is a really good opponent. And so Lee finally takes off his weights, which amazes the crowd. And so because of this, Sasuke decides to try a lot more harder, because he was taught by Naruto, and now he's being taught by Kakashi, and Naruto actually taught him a lot of different things in case of emergencies, in case something like this happens, like where he meets a strong opponent that he knows he can't really win against, or that he has a good chance of winning, but there's also a good chance that he'll lose. And then again, he was trained by Kakashi as well. And so in the middle of the fight, they're about to clash again, and all of a sudden they hear a giant boom. And everybody in the crowd starts looking around, and this was, of course, the Konoha Crush. And again, as I said, they don't have the One Tails anymore, but Orochimaru came up with something different. Everybody knows about the one-tailed beast, the Ten Tails, which is extremely powerful that only the Leaf has. But everybody in Leaf kind of hates the Ten Tails / Naruto because it was the one who attacked the village, and everybody blames Naruto for it. While everybody else outside the village wants the Ten Tails on their side for power. The thing is, they don't know that Naruto is actually the Tento Jinchuriki. They still think that the Ten Tails is still sealed up, and they want to get to that scroll. That's the only thing. And their main goal for this attack is to basically just take down the Leaf Village, so it's no longer a threat. And the reason the Sand joins or wants this is because Orochimaru eventually persuades them and basically tricks everybody. And you might be asking, what is this plan of Orochimaru? He basically came up with a serum that will transform a normal person into a reimagined tailed beast, to say the least. But it's basically a giant monster where the person basically has no control, which is perfect for the Konoha Crush because they just want to destroy everything in the Leaf. And only Orochimaru really knows how to make this. Nobody else. He hasn't shown it to anybody, not even Kabuto. And of course, his 3 sound ninjas still trap Orochimaru and the 3rd Hokage together so they can fight without any other trouble or without anybody interrupting. And so Naruto then looks around and realizes that the village is basically under attack, and he tries to think of something because he knows, or he can sense, that the 3rd Hokage is somewhat in trouble, that he's about to fight somebody really strong, which is Orochimaru. But he can also sense that there's a stronger, more dangerous thing that's attacking the whole entire village, and that he needs to take it down before it kills anybody. And so at first Naruto doesn't really know what to do, and then he thinks of something which might work, which is to make a whole bunch of shadow clones and have half go one way and half go the other way, which he does. There's a whole bunch of ninjas fighting the monster. I don't really have a name for it. And then there's also some people trying to break the barrier, and so Naruto, the real Naruto, actually goes to help the 3rd Hokage, while a whole bunch of the shadow clones go try to take down the monster and help the ninjas. And so Naruto can see that there's 4 ninjas that are holding up the barrier, and that he tries to think of a way to take one of them down so it takes down the barrier, or find a way to somehow get in there. And Naruto thinks about it and decides that it's time to use a move that he hasn't used yet, but he's somewhat practiced. And this is, of course, the Flying Raijin. I know in the last video I said he didn't learn the Flying Raijin or the Rasengan, but he did know the steps and then basically the instructions to learn it. And remember or if you remember, Jiraiya basically helped Naruto learn the Rasengan because he felt as if Naruto can actually somewhat learn it. And Naruto basically did already learn it, but doesn't really use that much. And during the 1 month training, he was also working on his own move, which is the Flying Raijin. He was working to perfect it, which he ended up doing. And before the tuning exams actually begun, he placed a bunch of sealing marks all over the village just in case of anything happens. Also because he thought that it was weird that Orochimaru was in the tuning exams and that a bunch of the sound ninjas were going after Sasuke. So he kind of found it suspicious, so he thought that something might happen, there might be some sort of attack, so he thought that it'd be better just to, prepare just in case. And luckily Naruto did place one where the Hokage is, or near the Hokage, which he uses to basically teleport inside. After he realizes that it actually worked and it went well, he then runs to the 3rd Hokage, and Orochimaru sees him and goes, how did this brat get in? The seals were up a long time ago, and if he was in before any of that, he would have came immediately. So how did he get in? And so now it's basically Naruto and the 3rd Hokage against Orochimaru, but then Orochimaru, of course, still summons the first and 2nd Hokage. And of course, these are the weaker versions, like in canon. And so Orochimaru basically steps back and lets the 1st and 2nd Hokage fight the 3rd Hokage and Naruto. So when the first and second Hokage first, get out of the little coffins, they say, "Where are we and why have we been summoned?" And all throughout the fight, they basically have a conversation. Naruto decides that it's basically time to end it, and he uses more of the Ten Tails chakra, which amazes Hashirama. Of course, Hashirama's basically the person that kept the Ten Tails sealed and kept the actual sealed itself. And he's amazed that somebody was actually able to learn and basically harness the Ten Tails power because at first he starts asking questions, but remember, he basically doesn't have free will. He can't control his body because he has to fight. He has to listen to the commands, but he can still talk at free will. And so he starts to ask the third Hokage how that boy has so much power, and then the third Hokage tells him that he's actually using the Ten Tails power. He's able, and the third Hokage basically tells him that he has learned how to use the Ten Tails power. I barely found this out today. And and Hashirama's amazed that someone's actually, able to genuinely use that power and harness it and basically kind of make peace with the Ten Tails. So Naruto then basically starts fighting the second Hokage, and the second Hokage even praises him, saying that he's a strong ninja for his age, and if he keeps going, he'll be even stronger than the first, or himself. Which Naruto's pretty glad to hear, coming from the second Hokage, of course. But eventually, Naruto does defeat the second, and the third Hokage actually defeats the first. Because again, they're weaker versions. And Orochimaru doesn't really know what to do. He tries fighting them back, but Naruto eventually also ends up basically knocking him out. And he basically then shows the actually no, it was the four, pretty sure it was four sound ninjas now that I think about it. I think I said three because it has to be a square, right? So I'm guessing it's four. If not three, I kind of forgot. But that's all besides the point. He basically shows them Orochimaru all knocked up, or he basically shows the ninjas Orochimaru knocked out, which causes them to break the barrier out of, kind of sadness or fear for Orochimaru because they're pretty loyal to him and stuff. So I'm guessing they would kind of slowly freak out a bit. But of course, they'd eventually retreat, and Naruto would then get to all the shadow clones trying to take down the monster, and they're still trying to fight it back. It was pretty powerful. But once the real Naruto was able to get there and summon all the shadow clones back and use more of the Ten Tails power, he was basically able to take it out a lot more easily. Which technically the village is actually saved by Naruto, including the Hokage, which people actually praise him for. A lot of people, again, they still don't like Naruto, but they respect him and just give him a little bit more they basically trusted him a bit more, and we're really glad that he was able to help. And that's where I'm gonna leave out this what if you guys liked it, like, subscribe, share, whatever, all that I had to say, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.